Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the demo about the situation in Ter Apel. There's gonna be 3 speakers, Nila and Chris and Hilde, and they're gonna tell something about what's going on there and what we can do to help with that. Yeah, and the first speaker today is Nila.
So I'm gonna squint because I can't see shit without sunglasses, but also can take off my glasses because I'll be blind without. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read from my phone because I wrote several hundred words and I don't remember them from my mind. And I forgot to print things, so you know. But hello everyone, my name is Nilab. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm from Groningen bijeen, which you can recognize by those beautiful flags by Rinse and Sophie. And I used to be a refugee. That's something that not everyone knows about me. It's not something I really like to talk about, I guess. And also because I think a lot of people, because I've no Dutch accent, nothing, think I'm just born here, you know, Dutch everything. But that is not true. We came here in 2000, so just after the Taliban, you know, has been reigning for 4 years and before America fell into the country. As all refugees, I have also stayed at an AZC, which is the refugee center. The ones I stayed at that I can remember are those in Hoogeveen. That was basically the Ter Apel in 2000. And Winsum, which that one is abolished at this point. They shut the building down. And as I was quite young, I came here when I was 3 and stayed there for 3 years, so 3 till 6. All I kind of really remembered for most of my life were the fun stuff. You know, just driving around a skelter, which is, I guess, kind of a 4-wheel bike, just going all around the complex and just playing with all the children, you know, that kind of stuff, playing on a PlayStation. But as I've gotten older and looking back, talking to my mom, talking to other people, I realized how fucked up most of it was, to be honest. One example that I can really give is that at the first AZC Hoogeveen, the one that we stayed at for a few months, we weren't even allowed to go outside anymore in the evening. So they used to shut down, they used to shut the gates, close them. Oh. Yeah, that's banana bread. And that kind of reminded me of a prison, to be honest. And then take that with the shitty-ass rooms that are really small, no privacy, no space to breathe, nothing. I mean, you're literally living in a prison. Then after that, of course, we moved to Winsum, I mean. Winsum was a lot better. We actually were allowed to go outside every moment we wanted. But of course, that also, even though we had that tiny luxury, was kind of shit. I called my mom for the coming section because she remembered it more clearly than me, and I thought that her perspective, as a single mother who came here from a quite, how do you say, totalitarian regime that hated women, I think that her words and her perspective were also really important to share on this stage. She said that we were shoved together in a small house with 3 families, and the biggest room was approximately 2 by 2.5 meters. All you could fit there were 2 single beds side by side, and that was it. The smallest room that we were in, I think, you couldn't even go there with 2 people at once. You had to just follow each other, because that's all there was. There was a double bed that you could see, and you could stand there next to it, and that was it. Nothing, no television, no big window, just that shitty small room. And then, of course, after that, you had a small fridge, small cabinets, small everything, and that, you have to imagine, you shared that with multiple families, usually with 2 kids each, living in, I guess you could compare it to a container flat that we have at Damsterdiep. It was a little bit bigger than that, but imagine that you have to share that with, I think, 6 to 7 people usually, for multiple months. Of course, I think me and my mom were very lucky, because we only stayed there for, I think, 1.5 years in Winsum. That's honestly really, really good, because I know people who stayed there for 6 to 7 years. And my mom also, instead of calling them rooms, she kind of called them small closets, because of course there was nothing to really have there. I think, to summarize how living in AZC was, is kind of, to be blunt, really fucking horrible. And I think my mom did say this also. I think the one good part about living in AZC was that you had, I guess, a bond with everyone there for life. Because all of you bonded over how shitty and traumatic kind of the living experiences was. We also got 75 euros a week, so that was me and my mom, but also for just a single family with 2-3 kids, that's still 75 euros a week. A single adult would get 30 euros, and from that you had to buy everything, your bicycle, your vacuum cleaner, your clothes, your food, everything from that amount of money. So that's 300 euros a month. To be able to even buy the necessities that you have apart from food, you need to really, really budget and make sure that there's nothing that's really out of order, and everything that you had to buy was secondhand too. And then, of course, I looked up how much money you get today, and that is still the same amount. You still get 75 euros a week, or 30 euros for a single adult. So can you imagine, 20 years have passed, or 22 years have passed since I came to this fucking country. Everything has gotten, I think, twice as expensive, and everyone still gets the same fucking pitiful amount of money. Which I think is a very good example of how idiotic the government has been here for the last, I would say, 30 years. What then has changed? I think, of course, we can say that Ter Apel has changed, but instead of getting better, it got even worse. Because I went there in 2015. My cousin came here from Kabul, because stuff was quite bad there. We went there in 2014, and then we talked to him about how he would get here and how we would help him when he arrived from Schiphol in Amsterdam. And when we arrived at Ter Apel, we had to walk, I think, 30 to 45 minutes in the mud, in the rain, just trying to find the fucking entrance of Ter Apel, the complex. And then when we arrived there, we had no clue where to actually go. The people weren't helpful, there were white tents all over, it was cold, it was still raining, and they just whisked my cousin away, and then we had to leave without any kind of help. We really wanted to stay there and help him, but instead of that, they just, I guess they banished us from the complex, and he had to just stay there. I think he waited 5 hours. And we arrived there, I think, at 11 p.m. That's just really fucking insane. And I think it really disgusted me to see how horrible the living conditions were there. It was really an eye-opener, I think, also. The fact that nothing has changed since then, and that it in fact has gotten worse, is unbelievable. That you still get the same amount of money in 2022 as 2000 is unbelievable. And yet all everyone ever talks about is how rowdy the refugees are. Oh, they get into fights. Oh, this, oh, that. Well, this is also something that my mom said. All your energy is spent trying to keep the peace, because there's no space, there's nothing. All you're doing is trying to make sure that you don't explode at the smallest thing, because if you do, your living quarters are so tiny that you just can't afford to get into fights. And then on top of that, of course, you have the fucking racists who keep trying to protest your entire experience and your entire existence. No wonder fights break out. The whole AZC system is dehumanizing and inhumane. That's why we're here today, of course. We're here to fight against that system, to make sure that everyone remembers that it's still inhumane, but also, of course, to try to raise some money to make sure that people at least have the necessities to survive. That was it.
Thank you, Nila. Great speech. And now we have a speech from Chris, who was involved with activism in Ter Apel. Give a round of applause.
Hi. So 2 weeks ago, a group of people came together and we decided that we needed to go to Apel to see for ourselves what was going on. We arrived at Friday evening at 10 o'clock in the evening. There was a line from 100 people waiting for sleeping bags. An hour and a half later, the sleeping bags came, but there was only 30. Everybody else went without. We spoke to people that had slept outside for 5 days, every night, waiting for a sleeping bag. Still didn't have a sleeping bag. We had soup with us, 30 portions. As soon as we had cups, that disappeared straight away. There were families outside, young children, waiting patiently for food. Nobody complained. They were hungry. The children waited and waited. And when we could give them food, they happily took it. There was nothing for children. There's no nappies, no wipes, no baby food, no toys. They're bored. Really, really bored. Yet, at the same time, despite a crisis where people are sleeping outside, children have nothing above their heads at night, there was an atmosphere of calm. Over the weekend, I spoke to a lot of people. A lot of people came across the Mediterranean by boat. Some said there was 500 people on a little speedboat. Yet when they got to Italy, they were processed by the state and then taken to the border and left to the hands of people smugglers. People smugglers brought them from Italy to the Netherlands. Yet in the Netherlands, there's been a system to deal with this for years. And for years, it's broken. And for years, it only gets worse. The quality of food is disgusting. Actually, I've heard you get better food in the police station than what you get from the AZC. The Red Cross should never, ever have to intervene in Western Europe. The governments are responsible. The governments have money. They have the capacity. Why aren't they doing enough? The Red Cross is an emergency organisation. There is no need for the Red Cross to have to help here. The system should be able to do it. But speaking to people that work there, we came to the point where we realised that the system is designed not to cope. One of the workers at COA said to us, if the system worked, too many people would come. And that's not what they want. So they at maximum capacity the whole time. And then when 2 or 3 extra buses of refugees come, they sleep outside. There is no more space. We live in a sheltered, privileged world. We have everything we need, and yet people come here for a place of safety. We have the responsibility to care for them. And it is not the job of charities, the Red Cross, to help these people. They do it. But it's the state government needs to step up and make the capacity that is needed to actually deal with the situation. It is not okay that people sleep outside. It's not okay that people don't have enough food or water. It's not okay that there is nothing for children. Mothers who just want a baby wipe so they can clean their baby, they shouldn't wait days for that. They should have it. So in the last 2 days, when we were there, actually we missed the crisis. It was chaos when we were there Friday, but everybody said actually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that was worse. But what we saw was absolute chaos. People waiting for transport 2 days outside. They don't know whether it's coming now, coming tomorrow, coming 2 days, but they have a ban to say they're leaving. When they're leaving, they have no idea. So when we were there, the Red Cross actually finished their emergency operation there, and we left also. Now in the last 2 days, the Red Cross is starting again. The Red Cross is building new infrastructure now, also here in the city. Last night, there was also people sleeping outside. This shouldn't happen. The people that sleep outside aren't processed, which means they also don't get food, they don't get water, they're not part of the system, they don't get helped. They need help. There is nothing there. So, yeah, in the last 2 weeks, a lot of people have helped out, and we've mobilized a lot of people quickly, and a lot of children's stuff has gone that way. But this needs to continue. The problem isn't going away. So we need to organize ourselves. We need to make sure that we can help. If anybody wants to help the Red Cross directly, they've now set up a new line, and they're looking for volunteers today. What was it called? Sorry, other page. readytohelp.nl, and that you can directly volunteer with the Red Cross, but we can also organize ourselves. I say, let these people come. We have a responsibility to look after them. And if the state can't do it, then we should do it ourselves. Thank you.
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Thanks, Chris. That was great. Now we have a speech from Hilde. Woo!
Hello everyone, I'm Hilde from the International Socialists, and it's good to see that some people have come to this demonstration because, as you know, the situation is very, very dire. People are often without food or drinks. I mean, as Chris just also explained, last night they had to sleep outside again. There is a lack of diapers, baby wipes. Traumatized children are being neglected. It is a harrowing list that goes on and will continue to go on if we do not act. So I'm here today to tell you about the importance of organizing. Without organizing, the government will be able to keep on pushing a policy that keeps building and breaking down reception facilities. It will keep on perpetuating capacity problems and pointing fingers at scapegoats. Without organization, the government will go on to create the housing crisis because they want to protect big capital, which creates less housing for refugees. Meanwhile, the government keeps scaling down reception for refugees while putting the blame on them for not finding a house. They very consciously make the Netherlands a very refugee-unfriendly country. Without organizing, we will remain in a neoliberal climate of refugee hatred that causes municipalities to refuse the reception of refugees. Without organizing, we will remain living in a country where Nazi scum, such as Pegida, are legally allowed by the municipality to protest at the refugee center and shout their fascist omvolking conspiracies towards the refugees. These fuckers will stand there tomorrow afternoon, and the municipality of Westerwolde sees no problem in having them there. Without organizing, violent pushbacks at the EU border will continue because the territorial sovereignty of states and the EU is valued higher than people's lives. Without organizing, the government will keep on protecting billionaires who benefit from subsidies of the fossil coal industry and the further looting of the global south, meaning that people there are becoming increasingly unsafe due to the climate crisis, fueled by the capitalist class, and are forced to leave home and hearth, seeking refuge in a country whose policy caused them to leave but then tells them they are unwelcome. Without organizing, we will remain living in a climate that divides people who should fight together for social and economical justice. So I am here today to ask you, really, what can you do? I am not asking you to sign a contract or anything, but to really ask yourself, how can I be involved? Can you help us build a long-lasting solidarity movement for, but also together with refugees? If you are yet unorganized, and the answer is yes to that, then please let me know, because, please speak to me after this demonstration, because we need you. And this is not about joining the International Socialist in general. There are multiple ways of getting involved. There are multiple organizations present here that could be like an organizational home for you. There is mutual aid. It should be clear that one benefit demonstration is not enough. We need political solutions. We need to keep on putting pressure on the municipalities and governments, and we need to overthrow the cause of this problem, which is capitalism. Mutual aid is very, very important right now. The refugees are literally in hunger. But we need to make demands too, because otherwise we're fucked. This horrible problem will remain the way it is. We need to mobilize people into fighting for a better world. We're not going to make it otherwise. We need each other. Because if we organize together, believe me, we really do have a world to win. Now say with me, brick by brick, wall by wall, make the fortress Europe fall. Brick by brick, wall by wall, make the fortress Europe fall. Brick by brick, wall by wall, make the fortress Europe fall. No borders, no nations. Stop deportations. No borders, no nations. Stop deportations. No borders, no nations. Stop deportations.
Thanks, Hilde. Very great. That were the speeches. Now we're gonna do a march. We're gonna walk that way soon. And If after this you want to help, get in contact with people here. And thanks so much for coming.
I still feel very small.
But united we're powerful.
Hey! Well, thanks for coming today. Even if it's not a lot of people, it means a lot. Thanks for marching with us. Thanks for taking a stance today. Thank you to everyone who has worked relentlessly so far to provide help in Ter Apel, to cook food, to collect supplies, to meet basic needs. Those networks of mutual aid are incredibly valuable and necessary. Networks like that can only be maintained and grown with people who commit to a cause deeply. With involvement that goes beyond taking a stance today, but that shows every day. Involvement can be a lot of things depending on your strengths, abilities, time and resources. Every one of us has something to give, something that can help to build a movement. Today we want to take a step toward that movement, a movement that centers on needs and wishes of refugees, that centers communication, collaboration and compassion. We need a continuous effort. Actions like this today can help to gather something, some supplies, some money, some resources to cover basic needs, but actions like these today are not only a reaction to a local crisis, but they are a reaction to the system failure that has brought about the horrendous situation in Ter Apel, that stands in line with years of crisis. There's no easy way out. We live in a system of oppression that wants to sell you refugees, and especially black and brown refugees, as your enemy. But they are not your enemy. Your enemy is the global system that values the protection of state borders higher than human lives and dignity. A system that is racist, sexist, morally corrupt, dehumanizing and much more, because this list is not exhaustive. We live in a system that pits us against each other and wants to divide us. We need to resist the narratives that poison our minds and actions and build a sustainable movement. In times like these, we need to move out of our comfort zone and contribute anything we can to that movement. We cannot stay seated in thoughts and prayers. We need to move all together, not just today, but every day. We need to support and commit to building networks of mutual aid and revolutionary movements that challenge the capitalist systems of oppression. These are all big words for a very simple request. Get involved today. Step into the networks that are already waiting for you if you have not yet. They can give you community, hope, and direction for your actions. Tell us what you can give to our networks by talking to us afterwards, by filling out the form that you find when scanning the QR code passed around, or at that table maybe. Put effort into finding ways to contribute and support the networks that pour their hearts and souls into creating change and alternatives to the capitalist system. I'm not standing here to sort of inspire you or something, but to give you an opportunity to get involved, to remind you that there are ways of doing that. There are plenty in Groningen, as Hilde said earlier. It's not only Internationale, Socialisten, it's also GFN, it's so much more. It's by any movement that has helped so far and has so much provided things and people and help in the last 2 weeks. Thank you.
We sell banana bread for €2 a slice, solidarity price, but if you have less money than that, then you can pay less, of course.
It's vegan.
It's vegan, and we're using it to buy supplies for the refugees.